Welcome back, everybody. Let's have a look at what's gone on today then. So a lot of people are getting a little bit worried, and I don't blame you. There's been a lot of bleeding out of all the alts and Bitcoin as well. So Bitcoin being the leader of that move, basically sort of coming back down to test some of these lower levels. But I personally, at the moment, I don't think there's a great deal to worry about. In fact, I'd say it's for the moment. I'd say it's another buying opportunity, or an opportunity to go long. Now, I did try a long earlier, and it got stopped out because I was being extra careful. Plus, I don't, despite what you might think, I don't just sit around on my computer trading all day. I have alerts set on my phone. I go about my normal day, and when an opportunity comes, I try to take that trade. But I'm very busy generally in the best of times. So I tried to make the trade. I put my stop loss into profit, and unfortunately got stopped out with a tiny piece of profit, but basically at the end of the day no losses, but unfortunately it didn't work out. But that said, I don't think it's the end of the world at the moment, and I'll show you why. So we're going to talk about XRP obviously, because that's what this video is about, but we've got to look at Bitcoin, because Bitcoin has I'm going to show you what's gone on and why we don't need to be particularly worried at this point in time. So if you watch my it's got to be going on for a few weeks, maybe a month or almost now. We've been talking about this trend line here, this upwards trend line, which is both support and resistance. It goes back over 3 years, and you can see, resistance and support and resistance and support and resistance. And now what's happened today is that it has been resistance for many, many days, and now it's come down to test that level as support. So I was kind of saying this yesterday, not that I was predicting that this was going to happen today, but you'll have to look at my video to. And I'm not going to post a link about it, but you just go back and have a look at the video if you want to, just to give myself a little bit of credibility, which is that I would like to see, and I would expect to see, that this come down to test this trend line at some point, and that would be a buying opportunity. So what happened today? We came down, people getting scared because we came into this resistance box, breaking below 12,050, people biting their nails, worrying that this is over. Personally, I don't think it's over. Actually, I think it's quite a healthy test, even though it would be a little early on in this sort of technically bull market, bull trend. But we did come down to test that trend line, and look at how exact it was. It was a perfect touch of that trend line. Now, you could also argue that it was a perfect test of the 10 exponential moving average, which is another area of support that all of these coins that we're looking to trade at the moment want to come down to test, because almost everything is in an uptrend, and their charts look great, like this one does. Look at this now. This is beginning to look a little bit almost exactly like Ethereum looked like when it was at $250, and we launched big time from there. This is what the chart looks like for Ethereum. It had this moving average spread of perfect in fact. This is what you want to see. This is exactly what you want to see. So coming down to test the first realistic moving average, which I tend to use, and I've got two which are more or less the same. We've got this blue one, which is the 10 simple, and we have this peachy orange one, which is the 10 exponential. We also have this upwards trend line over 3 years long, which is hopefully support, and it certainly looks as though it's acting as support, even though it's coinciding with both the 10 simple and the 10 exponential. All of them relatively powerful, and you can see that they've shown their authority over Bitcoin, supporting it at the exact level. Right, so personally, I don't see there's any reason to be bearish on this. The only downside, unfortunately, is that the MACD hasn't had a chance to make a cross, and it's actually diverging away from itself. It's still quite close and quite very narrow, to be honest with you. RSI is not overly high, but the MACD is definitely still in bullish territory, albeit we haven't had a positive cross. That's okay. It's actually okay. So, like I say, I did say that the next opportunity to go long on any of these would be to test the 10 exponential. If that breaks down, then it would be the center of the Bollinger Band, as we saw moving all the way up. And I'm sorry I'm talking about Bitcoin, but we test here, we test, we ride, we test, we test, we test, we break down, and then we come to the center of the Bollinger Band, test, test. So there's method to this madness. So how does this transfer over to the XRP chart? Shall we have a look at that, shall we, and work out if there's anything that can be said about that? Sorry, I just have to check my phone. Similar kind of vibe going on with XRP, although the moving averages don't have the same perfect spread that Bitcoin does. Bitcoin really does. It is looking really good, and I'm saying really good. And this is why I don't think there's going to be a breakdown of anything, because with a chart that looks like this looks really good. XRP doesn't look really good, but it looks okay, and it's following the same kind of vibe that Bitcoin was. So riding up the 10 exponential, massive wick down to test onto that, bounce from it, test, bounce from it. These wicks are a little shabby, to be honest with you, but more or less testing and bouncing above it, and then we finally broke down, center at the Bollinger Band, back up, 10 exponential, 10, 10, 10, and then we broke down obviously a little further than we were expected, but essentially bounced back up from the 10 exponential. Now, being above 30 cent for XRP is a good thing, because historically that's like Bitcoin at 6,000 or 6,600 area, that roughly around that kind of level where Bitcoin has struggled staying above or staying below. Do you know what I mean? That for those of you that follow Bitcoin, that would be it's a pretty important number for Bitcoin, that 6,000 to 6,600, where the same kind of vibe could be said for XRP between 30 and 32 cent. So this area now is probably going to be a bit of a painful zone. Maybe we'll be sideways for a little longer, but while the Bollinger Bands begin to pinch, because they're still they're very far apart at the moment, and definitely need a little pinch. Again, the same kind of problem that we've got with the MACD, which is that a subtle divergence away from each other, histogram expanding, which generally means continuation to the down or sideways action, to be honest with you, but certainly not upwards action or sustainable upwards creeping. But that's okay, because it's still way into bullish territory. We've got to come all the way down here for it to really kick in and be bearish, and we're not like that at all. All rides on Bitcoin, because these moves have been all the problem with all the alts that you've seen today. Obviously, they're going to have their own issues with their own charts, because they've all got their own supports and resistances and areas that they need to stay above or below. But as far as Bitcoin's concerned, Bitcoin looks okay to me, and I don't really see a problem with it, provided we're above this. And this is certainly support. So staying above the 10 exponential, also this upwards trend line, which was, like I say, tested perfectly. We've got such a nice spread of moving averages here. I can't even begin to tell you. And for me, this is a bullish situation still. In fact, this is the most bullish situation I've seen in Bitcoin in a while, and that's saying something really. So forget your golden cross. This is what you want to see. You want to see that. That is what you want to see. It's like opening up an old computer and seeing all the wires inside. Nice and neat, a little dusty, but still working. And that's what's happened here. It's a little bit dusty now because of what happened today, but don't worry about it. We're still above every single major moving average on Bitcoin, and the spread of these is perfect. I think I've said that a few times. And again, like I say, that's what we're aiming for with XRP. We've not got that perfect spread, but that doesn't mean it's not going to move. But I think the move is, if there's any move to be made, it looks like it's going to be with Bitcoin first, and XRP will probably be chasing its tail for a little longer, until we find ourselves in a nice setup similar to that of Bitcoin here. Anyway, I mean, like I say, all those videos that I've made of XRP, they all still stand up. They are still exactly. There's no point in me repeating myself each night about how I see it and where I see these supports and resistances. I just wanted a little reassurance of everybody that's probably getting a little bit worried, and I certainly wouldn't want to short this. Absolutely not. If anything, you'd take and I'm not a financial advisor, that, so this isn't financial advice, but if anything, you'd go long on these coins, all of them, every one of them. You'd go long on them. Well, that's a sweeping statement, not every one of them, but the ones that I follow. And just for those who, there's not many people who follow me, but the ones who do will have watched my video, I think yesterday or the day before, it must have been yesterday. SXP was falling out the sky. I said buy here, and what are we doing today? We're like 22% up, hitting pretty much the top end target of where I said it was going to hit. So I mean, there's method to moving averages. There certainly is. I mean, like I say, you watch all these other traders on YouTube. I'm sure you do. I mean, I don't really. Every now and then I do watch a couple of them, just to see what they're saying. And some of them use completely different instruments to me, which is what draws me to their channels. But really, they come to the same conclusion as me most of the time, and there's no need to have all this fancy gear. There really isn't. There's absolutely no reason to be doing all this crazy stuff. In fact, when I used to use all these other instruments, it just muddies the waters. The simple way is the best way. Moving averages, basic volume, and MACD analysis, and that's pretty much it. That's all you really need. And trust me, you know, I do have a job. I've got a profession, so I try and keep that. You know, who knows what's going to happen to crypto in the future? It'd be silly to give up your actual career. But as it stands, I'm making as much and sometimes more than I do in my job just trading, and I just use these simple tools, you know. And maybe I should make some tutorials about how to go about it, because I'm not saying it's easy, but it's more simple than a lot of these people make it out to be, you know. And it's easy for me to say that because I've been doing it for a while, so maybe I've got the intuition, which comes with practice. But you know, I've moved way away from the topic here anyway. But basically, I don't think there's any reason to be majorly bearish. XRP could take another dump down, and you know, these areas between the 10 exponential and the center of the Bollinger Band are absolutely minimal, and that would be where its next support would be. So if it did take another step down, we'd be looking at just 29.2 area, maybe a wick a little bit further below that, but I'd be very surprised. All these areas have been very good supports, and so this is where I'd like to see us remain supported. As these Bollinger Bands pinch, their volatility will decrease, and then it will launch up higher, and we'll be reaching areas, like I said, 37 cents shouldn't be an issue, probably up into the 40s in all fairness. Anyway, I'm going to leave that with you there. I hope you have a nice evening, and just have a quick sip of tea and drink some profits. Take it easy. Thanks for watching.